shot
Mm-hmm.
because there's a really kind of graphic sexual assault scene that takes place at their specific
Yeah.
place between the Imperial officer and Brix.
Bix.
Um, Bix, sorry, Bix.
But she's a brick house,
He's a
baby.
brick.
Yeah.
It's giving brick mama. Anyway, uh, hello and welcome to Star Gaze, where we're not just force sensitive, we're fear sensitive.
Yes.
Yes,
How are you, my friend?
I am awake, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
Mm.
Um, I really like the morning afternoon recordings. It kind of gives me purpose in the morning. I love it.
Yeah, I feel great. I feel energized. I feel crystallized. I feel galvanized.
All
I
the eyes.
feel, yeah, all the eyes. Does.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
Should make for a great recording environment.
yeah. Ooh, I hope this smoke doesn't set off my smoke detector. Yeah. I'm in a mood today, y'all. So what's new?
Let's see. What was the last thing we was the last recording we did in Japan?
Yeah, it's not the last episode that aired, but it's the
Oh,
last
okay.
most recent recording we did. Yeah, was in Japan. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, not a whole lot new obviously back from Japan. Hating it here.
Yep.
Wishing I was back there. But
Yeah.
like I guess the life is getting back to what its normal pulse is, so that's cool.
Yeah. Same. To summarize, where is he? I don't know why my arm is disappearing over there. Okay, anyways, Luthen's face is how I feel about being here.
Like, can I do it? I can't. No, my box is smaller than yours.
Yeah. Oh God, it's really taking me out of the illusion. Except I can backhand Cassian whatever I want to, bitch.
And
Yeah,
there's a fresh one waiting for your mouth
take
off
it.
again.
Stupid Cassian. Ugh. Call me Bix. No, I'm just kidding. Um, what were we talking about?
Yeah, his face does sum up late as of late.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. Anything else new and exciting? I guess not really. Just settling back in.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
off season, so things are a little slow. Getting into the garden, trying to explore purposes in life
Yeah. No, I feel it.
outside of work.
I feel
It's a
it.
balance. It's
It's
just regaining balance.
it feels weird recording like the entire season so recent. Like so close to when it airs. So
Oh, it does. Yeah, because we normally record like really early on, and then
yeah, we
when we
do.
watch back, it's been a while.
Yeah. So you're pretty much up to date, gentle viewers.
Dearest gentle readers.
Yeah. Well, there are some exciting things happening Star Wars wise. So we have Tales of the Underworld, which we need to record an episode for. So look out for that, everybody. Um, we already put up the celebration stuff and some of the announcements within. And today we are talking about Andor. So it's been a little busy actually for Star Wars, which is nice because I think we're gonna slow way down for a little bit also.
Mhm.
So Andor
Well, they're
season
working
two.
on movies and stuff, right?
They are. They've wrapped up Mandalorian and Grogu.
Right, right.
And So that's the next one coming out. And then this fall, so about 6 months, they start filming Star Wars Starfighter.
Okay.
Hmm.
So we'll have a gap and then we'll get a bunch of content again.
Yeah, but I mean, Starfighter won't come out until 27. There's
I guess that's true.
no series
It's
coming out. We do have
2 years
Maul
away.
Shadow Lord coming out, so there's Envision, so there's like some things, but it's gonna be fairly
When is Ahsoka
sparse.
supposed to come out?
That's a good question. I would say I would hope mid to late 26, but 27 I think is also realistically on the table.
I see. Well, it's a great time to get caught up on everything then. Watch the
Yeah.
Clone Wars if you haven't, watch the Andor if you haven't,
Yeah, that's
all
true.
those things.
There's all kinds of comics and novels too if you
That's
are
true.
into that. Um, yeah, so but I hate the slow parts, man. I'm like, damn it. But it's okay. I guess I just wish we also knew like truly what they're doing with some of the other stuff that's in development. Like I want to know what's when Ray's movies coming out, like,
Mhm.
some of the stuff I'm like more invested
Yeah,
in. But
that's what I keep wondering. I think that's what I keep is what I'm asking about, but there's no news about it. So
mm-mm, no.
I'll stop asking.
Hmm.
Oh, we get Visions this year in October, and then next year we get the first Visions Presents. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, it's true, but it's like those aren't real,
They don't matter.
They're cool, but it's like it's not really like, you know, taking the story anywhere new for me, because it's like not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Andor.
Yeah, season 2 of Andor. Oh my gosh, what a thrilling experience. We have a lot to discuss. Um, our biggest critique, and if you've checked out our season 1 episode, you will know that we found it to be pretty slow, and we had a lot of notes about Andor season 1. Um, Even though there were a lot of high points, it was like peaks with like some pretty wide valleys.
Mhm.
um, so season 2, I mean, going into it, I was hopeful that we wouldn't, because they had already said there would be time jumps and we would be kind of like moving pretty fast. So I was hoping it wouldn't feel as slow, but I was really worried that it would be overhyped. You know, I don't know how you felt about it or what you were expecting, but
I think I was really expecting to be not bored, but I thought it was. I think knowing that they were going to do the 3 episode drop at a time kind of
yeah.
alleviated some of my concerns because that was kind of the peaks and valleys that we discussed in season one.
Yeah, once we heard
So I
that, I
was
was like,
really
oh,
hoping
okay.
it would just feel like a really long but good, progressively moving story, which it did.
Yeah,
I thought.
that's good. Yeah, I'm overall, I'm really pleased with what we got. I do think if it had been a week to week, it would have been a really rough watch in some parts. But I
Yeah.
overall really enjoyed it, and I appreciated how long the episodes were.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to get, so to get 3 hours a week of,
It was
them
like watching
pushing
a whole
things
movie
along.
every week.
Yeah, it was truly great. And because of the time jumps, they're kind of like the mini seasons, really, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
There were a couple things that given the time jump, I wish maybe we could have spread that out.
mhm,
But I understand that,
yeah.
they're moving into a new phase and they gotta get caught up and get caught up to Rogue One and all that good stuff. But there were some things that would have been nice to see, not necessarily more fleshed out, just more in detail though, to give characters some space.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we'll talk about that as we kind of go through these arcs, but yeah, I mean, there's some things that, I definitely have some notes, but overall, I was like, you know what? At least it felt like we were covering ground. And the initial concept for Andor, I think, was about 5 seasons, and
Hmm.
it's kind of what we got. It's just like we got one really long season, and then we got 4 mini seasons, and kind of ended up where we ended up.
Oh, I guess that's true. I guess if they had, it would have broken it up like by each year up leading up to Rogue One per season. So I guess that's true.
Yeah. So I think we'll cover these by arcs because they were kind of like mini movies, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
or whatever. So um, arc one, I'm gonna call the harvest arc. Very weedy, very yeah, very very sand colored,
Rural.
lots of
Yeah.
beige. Yeah, silos and shit. Okay. Um, episode one was 1 year later. Pretty self-explanatory title, with episode two being Sagrona Tima and
Sagrona.
episode three being titled appropriately Harvest. So,
Yes.
if you don't mind, walk me through arc one.
Yeah, for sure. So this at this point we're at 4 BBY, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 4 years prior. So in 1 year later, Krennic has that the council, the ISB council, they're talking about plans for Gorman. We want to extract the Calcite
Gorman. Oh,
to
yes, Gorman.
Gorman, yes. Where the Empire is concerned about the Calcite that's deep within the planet and kind of an abundance there. It's the only place it occurs naturally, evidently.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed to coat the reactors for the Imperial Energy Program,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I mean I think we all know is the STAR, but
Yeah.
um, they don't. At least the people in that room don't. So they talk a lot about political spins, propaganda, framing the Gormans a certain way in the media. Um, the Gorman itself must be a really small planet because the one guy mentions that there's only 7 or 9 cities and 800,000 residents, which for a whole planet doesn't seem like a lot of people. A lot of people. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Earth has 8.5 billion. So
So wait,
uh,
how many? How many?
he said so when they're initially talking. He says because they're talking about displacing people, and he says there's 800,000 residents amongst 7 or 9 cities. The capital being, did he say Palermo? Or Palermo. I forget what the capital city is.
Huh.
The main city where all the shit goes down. So, like, as he said that, I'm like, that's not a lot of people on a planet, but whatever. We'll go with that. Um, that's the way the
Huh.
episode opens up, though, is Cassian steals the TIE fighter. And am I correct in assuming this is the TIE fighter that we've been leading up with Morgan's design and all that kind of stuff? Is this that
No.
TIE fighter? No, different TIE fighter.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So he steals this new TIE fighter. He has a cool little interaction with a a gal who's rebelling and getting him set up with the clearance codes to steal it. Um, and he gets out of there's a cool little space chase there with some other TIE fighters, good
Mm-hmm.
old Star Wars flying around. In another part of the galaxy, Mon Mothma is preparing for her daughter's wedding to that
Yeah.
guy's kid.
That guy's kid. Yeah.
I forget his name. Skolden, is that his name?
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Kyle? I don't know. Something.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what's and then uh Bix, Willman, and Brasso are all on this the planet pictured in the background here that's got the wheat and all that. So that's where all that's taking place. And they're kind of in hiding as undocumented workers.
Mm.
In the next episode, Sagrona Tima, we check in with Deidre and what's his face? Cyril.
Yeah.
Um,
Good old
they're
Cyril.
good old Cyril. They're in a full on official relationship. Um,
Yes, they are.
they have a really interesting lunch dinner confrontation with his mom, Edie, which I thought was really funny. Um, because they're both really funny characters, I think, Deidre and
Yeah,
Edie.
I love them.
Um, and then there's that scene of Cyril just like laying on the bed while they're
Yes.
talking, and the
Yes. So relatable.
yeah, Me all the time. Um,
100%.
in this episode, there's also some build up to an impending inspection of the settlement the Ferric survivors are at. They're going to be checking their documentation. Um, I think they're looking for rebel cells that are hiding here. Because the general consensus is the council knows that there's undocumented workers, and they acknowledge that they need undocumented workers to get the work done because they need the grain.
Yeah.
But because they know they're undocumented workers, they feel they can go in and harass them and get what they want.
Right.
It's very
Yeah.
mirroring real life here.
As if I heard that before.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and then checking with Mon Mothma, the wedding stress is building. Luthen is there, which she didn't anticipate, so she's all nervous
Yeah.
because she really doesn't trust him. Probably from her perspective for good reason. Um, and then on top of that, she's planning this whole wedding that she doesn't believe her daughter really wants to do. Um, but uh, so yeah, so that's Sagronatima, and then we go
Okay.
into Harvest. I think that's all that's in Sagronatima. That was of note. I'm sure some other things happen, but oh, that's right. Sorry, Cassian's stranded on a planet with a bunch of clashing rebel cells,
Yes. This is a big thing.
and yeah, so they can't get along. They were attacked. Some of them left and haven't come back, and Cassian won't reveal who he's with because it's all still very under wraps. And he was there to meet somebody who is dead
Yeah.
because these rebel cells killed him, and he's there with the new TIE fighter. So he's dealing with that. He's kind of a prisoner for a while, and then we get to Harvest,
Mm-hmm.
which is um, the peak for the peaks and valleys of this little arc, which is the actual wedding ceremony, the wedding bash. We get that really sick dance number from Mon Mothma
Yes.
when she just kind
Yes.
of gets fed up with all the secrecy. And I think she really comes to realize, like, oh, I really am alone in this. And this is when this is start to really grip her. And
Uh-huh.
who among us in a moment of stress has not downed several shots of whatever she was drinking
Yeah.
and just danced the night away, which was kind of
Yeah.
cool. It was nice to see her kind of let loose. It was sad to know why she was, but she needed that. I think she really needed that.
Yep.
And then on I don't know the planet that they're on, where they're farming all the grain. The Imperial inspection comes. Brix and Brasso are getting set to leave, but Wilmot is nowhere to be found because he's seen this dumb farm bitch down the road. Uh, they were supposed to be at the ready to go, and he's not there, so Brasso leaves. I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Brasso or Brasso?
Brasso.
Brasso, cool. Brasso leaves to go find Woman. Woman sees that the inspectors are coming to the little encampment there, so he heads back. They miss each other in transit. Long story short, ends up Brasso gets shot
Mm-hmm.
because there's a really kind of graphic sexual assault scene that takes place at their specific
Yeah.
place between the Imperial officer and Brix.
Bix.
Um, Bix, sorry, Bix.
But she's a brick house,
She's a
baby.
brick.
Yeah.
It's giving brick mama. Anyway, uh, she fucking hit him in the head with a brick, or
Yeah.
something. So Bix kills the. Have I been saying Bricks this whole time, or is that just the only time? Please tell me that's the only time.
I think that's the only time.
Okay,
Yeah, you're
good.
great.
If it wasn't,
I'll just redub your voice with
yeah,
Bix every time.
do like a pause. Anyway, so Bix gets sexually assaulted by this Imperial officer. She fucks him up and his attendant that was there with him. They called all the other stormtroopers, so they're on their way. Cassian shows up in the TIE fighter. Pew pew, pom pom, boom, kills them. Um, Brasso head
What?
Brasso heading back again gets shot. Wilmon
Pew, pew,
meets
brah,
up with
brah.
Cassian and Biggs pew pew meets up with Cassian
Love it.
at the TIE fighter, and they all get out of there. They all get the hell out of there.
They all
Uh
skedaddle. They all get on out.
yeah, they go get on out of there.
Get on there, out of
Um
there.
and that's pretty that's pretty much the setup of Harp. I think at this point, um, Deidre is talking about framing rebel cells on Gorman to make the Gormans feel like they're causing a lot of unrest for the Empire. I think this is when she's planning that with what's his name, Major Portagaz. Um, I think that's when they have that conversation. If not, it was the episode before where they're talking about how can we frame the Gormans
Hmm.
um, as a rebellious terrorists
Yeah, because
against the Empire.
they need the mineral that's there
Right.
for the Death
But
Star
if they have
protection.
to displace and or kill the Gormans, they need to make them look like they are terrorists.
Yeah, so Krennic um has recruited like a, kind of like like a I was gonna say a focus group, that's not it. But like a team.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's how it appeared on their calendar.
Yeah. He has like a little committee, but they're exploring alternatives. I think also knowing damn well like they're not gonna find an alternative.
Yeah.
And so they need to, take this mineral by force, if they have to, and there's a chance that it would kind of destroy the planet. Like if they mine it, because the planet may not be able to handle how much they're going to take out of it,
Right, right.
which would literally completely wipe out the Gormans, with probably very few being able to escape before the mining begins. The problem is if they go and do that, that's not going to look great to the Senate. So the Emperor has kind of charged Krennic with this task of like figuring out how that's going to be covered up, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's what he's assembled the committee to get ideas for. And Deidre's kind of being punished. Like this is kind of like a reassignment. It's kind of like a downgrade actually, because her whole focus before was finding Axis, which is what their code name is for Luthen, because they don't know
Mm-hmm.
what to call it. So she's not happy about being there, but Krennic knows that she is quite smart because of all the shit she's been in trouble for. So he kind of throws her a bone and says, um, you know, I know you kind of already thought about it as I was talking, what is your thing? And she said, well, you need to make it look like they made the offensive first. So it's
Yeah.
justified
I think she
when you
says
do what you need to
you need
do.
a rebel cell to do the wrong thing at the right time.
Mm-hmm. So, and he loves that.
Which I
So
think is
that
also why
she
she
gets the
plants
job.
Cyril there.
Uh-huh. So truly, like, she will do anything for a mission. Like, it's so
Yeah.
wild.
Anything.
Um, anything, Daddy Krennic.
So
Um,
that pretty much sums up the first arc then. We're gearing up for the stage of the entire series. These are
yeah,
the trends we're going to follow.
yeah. And there's a seed planted in season one where they name drop Gorman. Mon Mothma's aware that like something weird's happening on Gorman. Um, and so now we're kind of watching that kind of grow into what it is later on this season. Couple things. I
Yes.
looked up the TIE Avenger just to make sure I'm thinking of the right one, and it is the TIE Avenger that Cassian steals. The one you're thinking of is the TIE Defender, which is the one Morgan
Oh,
and
okay.
Thrawn work on. But the TIE Avenger is fairly similar in that it was never really put into production because it would be very expensive to make.
I see.
And they didn't want to invest in that, especially when they're investing in a Death Star. And so that's truly what the problem is Rebels is like they're either going to do the Death Star or they're going to do bullshit like the TIE Defender. Like they can't
Right. So
afford
they're
to do
deciding
both.
at that point which one would be most beneficial for the Empire.
Right. And they have a test facility, which is what Cassian has infiltrated. And that's where they were making the TIE Avenger prototype. So, I'm assumingly, they got intel that they were making such a TIE fighter. And his mission is to destroy the only one that's been made, the prototype, and destroy the facility in some way.
Mhm.
And then it truly does. I don't think he destroys the facility, but they do shut it down because they can't afford to make it. They'd have to make another prototype. It's not worth it. So,
Right.
um, so that's what that is. So it was different in that it had like a hyperdrive, which we see him use. It had shields, like it had all these things that normal ties don't, because that's why in the movies they're so easily destroyed, right? So,
Mhm.
but yeah, so that's what that is. Yeah, that is pretty much it for the most part. I really liked I think Mon Mothma's arc is my favorite in this
Oh,
particular arc. It
100%.
was like really like you know what? Actually, no. I'm gonna say her shit is my favorite for the whole season. Like she's just Genevieve
Mhm.
O'Reilly is just like incredible.
Amazing. Can we talk for a minute about how awful her family is? Like her
Yeah.
daughter is such a spoiled brat. Like
Yeah.
I was so irritated for her. I was like, come on, you don't deserve this, girl. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Um, but it kept her family safe because if they interrogate them about what Mon does later, her daughter can at least be like, "Oh, I hate mom. I've
Yeah,
made that
fuck that
very
bitch.
clear. I truly have no idea what bullshit she's been doing, and I don't
Yeah,
care. Please shoot her for me." That's what she would say.
yeah, I feel that. I mean, it just sucks because I feel like Mon is in this position where she's trying to hold this all together and already feels super alone, and then like to feel alienated by your family as well. Imagine like your own kid. That's probably really rough.
Yeah, and I love that whole thing where like her daughter has a breakdown because her betrothed arranged marriage husband like doesn't seem to like want to bang her or whatever her problem
Right, or
was.
hold her hand. Yeah, it was he
Yeah.
won't hold my hand. And then like
Yeah.
this was like literally the day before, and then Mon before the ceremony is like, we don't have to do this. Like we can say it's not ready
Yeah.
yet, or we're not ready yet. We have time. And she
And
says, I
she's
wish you were drunk.
yeah,
Like,
because she's like, Mom, you don't get it.
girl,
The whole thing is I want to do this. I want to bang him, but he doesn't seem to want to bang me,
yeah,
Mom.
exactly. I want the gifts. I want the ceremony. I want to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
But like, he doesn't look like he's ready to like do the deed.
Yeah.
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah. And she dances to
Brat.
Niamos.
So what?
Sorry, I like had a out of body experience. She she dances to Niamos. That's the dancing scene. Niamos is a song from season one from the planet Niamos, where Cassian is. I was gonna say vacationing. He's hiding out there. Um,
Vacationing.
there's like four versions of the song that we see between seasons one and two of Andor. It always reappears. So of course I own
Oh,
all of
interesting. I
them.
didn't really
Yeah.
know
So
that.
this is another mix of Niamos. I love it. I have all versions. Um, yeah. This version I think is actually titled Brasso because it's mixed with the death score for Brasso, and then it kind of
Hmm.
leads into Niamos while she's dancing and everyone's kind of wrapping up their stuff.
What a great contrast between how this rebellion forming is affecting two different kinds of groups of people.
Yeah,
Like with on the
100%.
one hand, it's like super dire and life or death. And the other hand, it's just like downer at the party.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, I really love that scene because truly it's like Mon is on the verge of a mental breakdown because she's for the first time I think realizing the weight of her actions because it's really easy to be a politician with money that you're kind of just throwing at a cause. She knows it's terrorism first of all, which is probably
right,
really
right.
stressful and that's understandable because she is really like to I mean according to the other side, like she would be like a total war criminal. And she's
Hmm.
like totally evil and she's funding like a terrorist organization, which are killing people out there. Um, but it's like
Imperial
she,
heroes.
yeah, but it's like because she feels like it's going to make governmental change, which directly affects her world. Like she's okay with it. And there's like a disconnect she has from it that's very convenient for
Hmm.
her,
Yeah.
which Luthen calls her on actually in this
Yeah. He
episode.
says, it must, how nice for you.
Because
Luthen says to her.
yeah, because her childhood friend who she's sucked into this because she needed him to set up the foundation for her. His life's falling apart. So now he is drunk all the time and he's running his mouth
Hmm.
about what they're doing, and that's a problem.
And
So
his
Luthen,
wife left him.
yes. So Luthen tells Mon that he's got to die. Like he's
Yeah,
running his
which we
mouth.
see the precursor of when what's her name picks him up. One of the
Cinta,
space
yeah.
lesbians, Cinta,
She's like the Grim
space
Reaper.
lesbian one. Yeah,
If Cinta is
she
left alone with
is.
it, like the hostages from season one, where you know she killed them all, she is space death. She's like space Aubrey Plaza.
Yes, I
uh,
love it.
yeah. Um, so all of that. So it's Mon like truly not knowing what Luthen is meaning, like when he's telling her this has to happen and it's gonna happen. And that's when he says, how nice for you that you don't have the luxury of knowing what that means and having to do these
Exactly.
things. So,
Yeah.
but now now it's hitting close to home. This is somebody she's known forever. It's a genuine friend of hers, and her choice
Hmm.
is to either let her friend get killed and look the other way, or essentially out everything she's been doing. So, you
Yeah.
know, and so she just loses her shit. So she just drinks and she just needs to disconnect, and she dances and she just
And tears up that dance
detaches.
floor, Mama.
Yeah. Oh, it's my favorite. Oh my god, she's
Yeah.
such a good actress too. Okay. Um, arc
Next
two.
arc.
I will call the I have friends everywhere arc. I just love that. I love that little code phrase. I have
Hmm.
friends everywhere. It's like it's like when you meet like a guy in a bathroom or something. It's like I have friends everywhere. Oh, yes, you do. Okay. Um,
Oh, good.
yeah, no, nobody else. Um, so episode four is called
They're
Ever
out
Been
there.
There Out There. Episode four is called Ever Been to Gorman. Episode five is called I Have Friends Everywhere. And episode six is called What a Festive Evening. So walk us through this arc.
Okay, so now we're at 3 BBY. We're getting
Mhm.
closer and closer to the Battle of
We're
Yavin.
doing it. Yeah, we're
Ever been
getting
to
there.
Gorman? We see that Cyril is now stationed on Gorman, much to his mother's chagrin, because she voted him on Coruscant. She doesn't understand why he's there. He is really on the phone call with her, I think, knowing that his phone calls are being tapped, is really
Oh, yeah.
selling the Gormans to his mom, like, oh, they're not a threat to the Empire. I really like it here, the culture,
Yeah.
yada yada yada, blah blah blah, to really gain the trust of whoever is listening to him because we know they're there.
Yeah.
Um, I think this is the episode, or it's in the next episode, where he actually like starts to attend, because then he gets approached, right? Then he attends like an underground meeting of like
Hmm.
dissenting Gormans who are upset.
Yeah.
So
So
he's
he
trying to work
knows,
his way into that.
yeah, he knows that the Gorman rebels, like their little newly formed cell are looking to recruit, and they've identified him as being an Imperial, but because of his history of being fired and doing all this stuff, that he would have motive to work against them. And so he kind of plays the part
Yeah,
of someone that might catch their eye, and because they're young and dumb as a cell.
right. Which I think
Yeah.
will playing that part will bite him in the butt later,
Oh,
and I think
100%.
he almost starts to believe it at some point.
Hmm.
Um, Other things that happen this episode, Woolman is sent by Luthen, I believe, to Saw Gerrera to deliver information about calibrating a weapon or a bomb of some sort, right? Or engineering one.
It's variations to safely extract rhydonium.
Cool. That. Um, he does that. So he gets sent over to Saw, but then is kind of kidnapped. And Saw's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, because
You're
Saw's been
gonna
huffing the
teach us how to do
rhydonium,
this."
as he tells him. He's like, I've
Yes,
learned to
which is why he
love it. And he's
progressively
like,
looks a little more
how to,
crazy,
yeah.
crazy.
So yeah, because now he's like a full blown like tweaker and an
Yeah.
extremist terrorist leader.
Yes.
which is
That
great
really
for
puts the entire rebel
everyone.
operation
Yeah.
at risk. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. um, so he's not quite on the inhaler yet, but now we know how he gets there and why.
Taylor.
Yeah. And then to check in with Bix and Cassian, they're chilling in the safe house on Coruscant, reminiscing about the past year, things
Hmm.
they may or may not have had to do to support the rebellion and
Yeah.
working for Luthen. Um, so they're kind of having some struggles, I think, with reconciling what they've had to do to get this rebellion moving and their own moral compass.
Yeah.
In episode 5, I Have Friends Everywhere.
Hmm.
Um, the rebel cell on Gorman begins to plan a heist to find out what they're actually transporting to and from this Imperial building they're building there, which we know is an armory, but they don't. Um, so they plan to hijack one of the transports to have proof that it's an armory.
Yeah. So they know it's an armory. They can't prove it. So
Right. So they need the
they
weapons
want
to prove.
proof, but also if they are going to fight back against the Empire, they need weapons. So they are planning to
Oh yeah. Okay.
hijack and use the weapons. Hmm.
Okay. So yeah. So they're planning to hijack one of the transports doing that because it's very methodical. It's timed at the same time every day. And they don't know why the Empire is doing it. We know why. Uh, so it's a little ominous. But so that's what's going on there. Cyril is fully recruited by them now, right? He's like attending meetings, helping them and observing them and reporting back to Deidre that what is going on so that they can calibrate the reaction from the Empire so
Yeah.
it looks as bad on the Gormans as possible when it does
Yeah.
happen. Wilmon over with Saw, he's been training Pluty, I think his name is, the other engineer, how to extract the Rhydonium, you said?
Hmm.
So how to do that. At some point, Saw suspects he's a double agent and then ends up killing him and just keeping Wilmon to further his plan to extract the Rhydonium. Um, and I think in this kidnapping, he kind of radicalizes him a little bit, his character, I think, because he has him do the Rhydonium as well. Um, once they get there and do it right.
Hmm.
So I think he has a little bit of a character development there. Uh, and then over on Coruscant, Clea learns that Skolden's plans to search his art gallery after they found a forgery, and this wigs her out because they have a bug there in that gallery. So they have to figure out how to go remove this listening device before they're found and it's traced back to them.
Yeah, they're having all the stuff reappraised, and they have like this. I think they call it the Imperial Gala, something like that. It's like the big
Yeah,
event they have at this place where
it's
the gallery installation
Senate, the
is.
Senate, the Senate Investiture Gala. So they're where
Uh-huh.
they welcome the new senators.
Yes. So, and they're worried that during the reappraisal, because they're going to examine the art pieces while touring with their fucking group or whatever, um,
Mm,
that they're going to discover the listening device.
right. So then moving forward, episode 6, What a Festive Evening. Luthen, while Cassian is away, attempts to recruit Bix for a task, a mission, whatever. Um, I think really assesses that she's not able to. At this time, she has a pretty serious drug addiction.
Yeah.
She's kind of wigging out there in Coruscant by herself.
Hmm.
Um, and he ends up sending uh, Vel and Cinta to Gorman to aid that rebel cell there instead.
Yeah.
Um, I think at the same time, or just before, Cassian also goes to Gorman, posing as a fashion designer,
Hmm.
which is a really fierce look for him. Love that for him. This is where he meets the bellhop when he stays at that hotel on the Palermo Plaza. Um, who ends up remembering him later, which we'll cover. I think this is also the episode where they actually do the rebel, what's the word I'm thinking of? The heist. They actually execute the heist. Of course, the Empire knows about it, right?
Yeah, it's the next episode. So Cassian goes in episode 4, Ever
Ah,
Been to
oh,
Gorman,
4. Okay. He goes into
because
episode 4. That's right.
Luthen wants Cassian to check on the new rebel cell and potentially train them and help them get situated. Cassian goes,
That's right.
but feels like they're not ready, and then he comes back. He leaves. He comes back to Luthen and says, "I'm not doing this." And he said, "They're not ready. They're gonna get hurt. They're gonna get killed." And Luthen says, "Well, either way, they're valuable because the galaxy is watching them."
Hmm.
So to have a new cell on Gorman, which seems to be a really big Imperial hotspot for whatever they're doing with this, their plan is for them, um, that's like invaluable. And even if it goes down in flames somehow, the galaxy will take notice, and that's still a big win for us. So he's like, it's worth it. So Cassian still says no. So then he sends the other two instead.
Right. Okay.
So they train them, and that's what that episode is. And then what a festive evening is when the gallery party thing is happening, coinciding with the heist
Heist.
that they're doing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Correct. Thank you. Um, so during that heist, Cinta gets shot,
Mm-hmm.
because, like Cassian said, they weren't ready. They were inexperienced, ill trained. So Cinta dies.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the same time at the gala, Clea runs into Lonnie Jung and then uses him in a conversation with him to distract everybody while she, like a total badass, removes this listening device from a piece of artwork,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was a really cool, intense scene. 'Cause at the same
Yeah. I
time,
loved it.
we're seeing Mon volley back and forth with Krennic about
Mm-hmm.
really like ideologies when it comes
Yeah.
to imperialism and all that, which was,
Yeah.
it was such a cool scene, and the tension in the scene was just so palpable. It was so well
Yeah.
done, and really come to appreciate Clea as an absolute badass in this moment.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't think so
100%.
before, solid, like,
Yeah.
cool, one of the coolest characters. And I think that wraps up What a Festive Evening.
Yeah. So things I liked about this one, I do like that we spend so much time developing Gorman, because
Mm-hmm.
what happens there is such a big deal that I'm glad that they really make it feel like it will be. Um, I do like that because there's like a theme of kind of like the young rebel cells like messing things up. It takes a
Mm-hmm.
while for people to become kind of organized and then ready to be like allied as one alliance, right? So, um, when we met Cassian and kind of our core group, they were all on Aldani, which is like that one. It's also a heist. They were stealing a bunch of money and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So to see that go, I mean, they still pulled it off, but it went really messily, and someone got hurt. So for them to pass on that knowledge to the Gormans and say, "You got to do exactly what we say. We are the only ones who are going to be armed. You guys just do what we say. Like, just trust us. We know better." And then that idiot doesn't agree. That other girl walks off with that old lady. She leaves her post. Other kid has a gun. He has to watch her post. Things go wrong. It's a guy who's actually supposed to be there.
Right, right, right.
What's her
It's
name
just
gets shot.
like no organization and just chaos.
Yeah, so I love all that, and you know, and just the gallery scene was just so great. This is where we really see Clea kind of like really amp things up with her character, and I just I love that. She's so
Yeah,
cool. And it's our first look at oh god, Benjamin Bratt as Bail Organa.
that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When they pass each other going in and out of the gallery. So, and Tony Gilroy said that was intentionally done so people had a week to process
the
the
difference.
recast. Yeah. So
I
they can
think, you
kind
know
of.
what? I think given what we get later, I think it was a really good recast. I think he did
I
a really
do. I
good job.
do. I'll talk about it
I like him
later.
in that role.
But yeah, I think it worked out. All right. Moving on, right?
Hmm. Next arc.
Perfect. Episode 7. So I'm going to call this arc Welcome to the Rebellion. Episode 7 is Messenger. Episode 8 is Who Are You? Oh, I love this episode. And episode 9 is Welcome to the Rebellion. Take us through.
Right. So a lot happens. Okay. Uh
All right, moving on to the next arc.
yeah,
Just kidding.
a whole bunch of shit happened.
Yeah.
So in Messenger, we're up to 2 BBY. Um Yavin is growing. It's becoming a pretty solid center for the rebellion
Mm-hmm.
and rebel leadership. Um Deidre is repositioned on Gorman as we get closer and closer to whatever is going to happen. She is there overseeing everything. I think at this point, for whatever reason, the Gorman rebels no longer trust Cyril. They have
Mm-hmm.
ousted him from their cell. They know he's likely a double agent or something happens. I didn't really catch what actually happened. I just know there's that scene where um, they're like, fuck off
Mm-hmm.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Which looked like he took kind of personally. And this is
Yeah.
where I think he started to believe the story, the lies he was weaving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think at this point, Luthen recruits Cassian to assassinate Deidre. Like this is the
Mm-hmm.
episode they have that conversation.
Yeah.
Um, so we're getting set up. Something big is about to go down. There's civil unrest on Gorman. Their imperial presence there is growing more and more by each day.
Yeah.
Um, so we're building some tension, right?
Yeah.
Then we get to episode 8. Who are you? And the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Cassian arrives
Uh-huh.
to assassinate Deidre. They're moving some shit around in the plaza, which was previously blocked off, but now they've only blocked off the entrance to the Imperial building. Um, so it's obviously setting up for something to happen, something big to happen. And then the one guy, I forget his name, he's like the leader of that rebel cell, and kind of a person of position there on Gorman, who kind of sees it all happening in real time, like, oh, this
Yeah.
is a trap. Like we've been set up from the get-go. This is exactly what they want because there's going to be a massive
Yeah.
protest.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, Cassian runs into that same bellhop that he saw a year prior, and he
Yeah.
remembers him and kind of gives him a nod, wink, wink. I'm not going to report that you're not who you're supposed to be, but the gal next to me might. But you have some time.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool that he remembered him, and I think that bellhop's backstory was that his father died saving him from an imperial incursion on Gorman, where Tarkin landed his ship and killed a whole bunch of people needlessly.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
um so that was what the Gorman massacre was in Legends.
Okay.
And it happened earlier in the timeline than when Rebels placed the Gorman massacre. Because when
Okay.
we got Star Wars Rebels, after the big shift, um, they show Mon Mothma's speech, and that established the Gorman massacre as being at that point in the timeline instead of like 2 decades
So we had
prior.
to create a new massacre.
Yeah, and so which was fine. Like they could have just moved it up, but truly they decided to include both. So and they happen in the same plaza, I believe. So that's
Yeah, I
interesting.
like the way they did it because that whole plaza is memorial to the people who died in that initial massacre.
Yeah,
So the Gormans already have a reason to distrust and have feelings towards
yeah,
the Empire because of
yeah,
that massacre.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, so the protest is underway. Hundreds of Gormans come to walk on the plaza to basically occupy the space outside that Imperial building to
yeah. Like
protest.
protests. Hmm.
Yeah, and then the Empire is just like itching for a reason. Like they are 100% ready. The one
Yeah, it's
commander there is
their
just like
whole
just
plan.
yeah. and I think this is where Deidre realizes, oh, I really don't have any power here. Like they just need me to be the fall person and give the actual
Yeah,
order. And she's kind of just told, give the order. This is what you're here to do. This, know your place.
yeah,
And I think she as a character really grapples with that. I
yeah,
don't think so much about the what she's doing to the Cormans. I think it's more just how little influence and power she actually has, when I think
yeah,
she thought she had a lot more.
yeah.
Um, so they block the protesters in. They have a battalion of stormtroopers waiting on the steps so no one can leave. Um, Tension just keeps building, and someone like loses a shot. He
Hmm.
sends those really really green undertrained troopers in that have no experience in like crowd management
Yeah.
or rioting, anything like that. So when a shot goes off, other people start shooting because of course people brought guns,
Hmm.
and the massacre ensues. They open
Yeah.
fire on all the Mormons. They have snipers posted everywhere. um, so amongst all this chaos that really was kind of hard to watch, um, like seeing it all happen in real time, watching the tension build.
Yeah.
Cyril, I think, also has a realization like, oh, I really am the bad guy. Um, Sees Cassian, who is there to kill Deidre and trying to get a vantage point from which to shoot her,
Yeah.
and loses his shit and just
Yeah.
goes right after him. And then even worse, once they start fighting, Cassian's like, "Who are you? I don't even know who you are," which I
Hmm.
think just blows Cyril's mind. Like Cassian has been the object of his attention for
Yeah.
years now, and for Cassian not to even know who he is, probably just like
Yeah.
sent that queen going, and then
Yep.
almost wins, and then gets shot in the head by that same rebel cell leader who realized it was all a trap, which
Yeah.
was really poetic. I really thought
Hmm.
that was great. That was wonderful.
Yeah. It
Um,
was it was really awesome.
yeah,
Um,
what a powerful episode. It was pretty wild.
yeah, Cyril as a character is just like so pathetic, which is so sad to watch.
Hmm.
I think he likes the Gormans. I truly think he just thinks that he's shutting down like potential rebel activity, and I think he for some reason is under the impression that they'll handle that like super securely and officially.
Hmm. Well,
He has
he
no
believes the
idea.
lie, right? Because like even the Gorman, the Imperial news networks that are on the ground there are framing the Gormans as terrorists and
Yeah.
framing them like, oh, we Imperial heroes are dying and they're
Yeah.
attacking innocent Imperial civilians and
Yeah.
making others of the Gormans.
Yeah. It's really crazy. And I love his argument with Deidre, where he's essentially telling her, like, he's realizing that she's used him completely, and
Hmm.
he finally gets like a backbone, and he kind of leaves. Right? He's like, "Fuck this!" And he's gonna go apologize to the Gormans because they've slowly been onto him, and I also think part of him actually likes that girl, like
Oh yeah, the
the
one dude's
yeah,
daughter. Yeah,
yeah, and I think she was kind of into him. I think that's a big part of the problem is then there's like this mistrust between them, and I think he's realizing like, oh, I'm on the wrong side. But as it's happening, he just can't process it, and then there's Cassian, who's I think he blames for setting him on this whole path in
yeah.
general, and he just loses his mind, which is so
He really
crazy.
does.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it was wild. And then episode 9 is
Yeah.
um
So I mean, that would have been enough for a whole arc in and of itself.
yeah,
And as it was, episode 8 was super heavy. Like it was. I mean, the episode and you're just like, what the fuck?
yeah,
But we had one more. So episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion. This is when Mon makes her crazy ass speech to the Senate, basically calling
yeah,
out Emperor Palpatine.
yeah,
Um, Before that, before she actually goes out and does that, Bale. This is when Bale says, I can't do it with you. Like I'm not ready yet."
yeah,
So furthering that feeling of like solidarity and loneliness that I think Mon is feeling ever since the beginning of the season, right? Luthen it lets her know the escort that Bale has arranged for her is compromised, that there are people there that are either going to capture her or kill her. She doesn't know what to trust him. Um, it's also revealed to her that her assistant has been in Luthen's employ for the past couple of years, so she just kind of does a whole 180 and just can't trust anybody. Um, and probably really, really close to another mental breakdown. It's been a rough season for Mon. It's
Yeah.
not a great mental health season for her. So she doesn't even go home. She stays at her office all night, writes this speech. Um, I guess how to change of clothes at her office, so she can look stunning when she goes out there. Um, and then goes and makes the speech, and the speech itself, like, oh my god, like what amazing writing.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
oh, that's art in its finest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we'll go into the speech a little later, but it's a pretty epic speech. And then Luthen contacts Cassian because he needs someone he can trust to extract her.
Yeah.
Um, and it go over well. So Cassian comes to extract her. She doesn't know if really she can really trust him. I think this is where it really hits home to Ma. Okay, like I'm in this shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that whole
Yeah.
escape scene, so much tension up until when he kills her driver because he's an ISB
Yeah.
plant. Really hits her in that moment. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, this is what I've been advocating and doing, and now I've pulled the trigger. There's no going back. Um,
Yeah.
a really, really cool episode to follow up with follow episode 8. It was really, really good. And then you mentioned
Yeah.
to me that there was a deleted scene that had an interaction between Mon and her husband that they decided to scrap altogether.
Yeah. It was like a scene where he would tell Mon that he knew the whole time kind of what she's doing, that he's covered for her, and that it was really actually painful that she wouldn't trust him with it, and that she was obviously using him to cover her stuff. And he just said he went along with it because he loved her. And it would be this like kind of heartbreaking thing where they're still going to part ways because of what she's done. But she had truly pushed away somebody that could have been her closest ally, and she wouldn't have had to be so lonely. They would have been
Yeah,
in it together. And so, it would have added another layer. But I think they ultimately decided it would be better to kind of keep him the way he was presented, and they cut that scene altogether.
yeah. It would have been really interesting to see it. I agree with, in hindsight, keeping with him being the scuzzball we all thought he was, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, that would have been really cool to see a very different perspective.
Yeah. Um, I do love Erskine's scenes in this arc. Her Senate attaché or like
Yeah,
assistant or whatever. He so they mention so he's worked for her for like ever. It's like her one like friend that she kind of has left.
right.
Um and Luthen recruited him, he tells her at the wedding. So when she
Yeah,
was
because they have that conversation where he asks
yeah,
where he's from. He's from like Naboo and Chandrila.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So he slowly ropes him in, essentially to spy on Mon, which is why Mon is like, what the hell? So I do really feel for
she's like, I
her.
can't trust anybody. Damn
Yeah,
it.
but he really does it to protect her. Like he's like her bestie.
Yeah,
So he just
she
really
he acknowledged from the get go, Mon is mother, and he
yeah,
must protect her at all
exactly.
costs.
Exactly. And he does. He really puts in the work, man. And then he's in Rebels with her. Oh, it's great. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's always good to have a good Judy you can count on.
Yeah. And I do love that they honor the Rebels connection as well. They mentioned Gold Squadron's gonna escort her, and
Hmm.
it's Gold Squadron and the Ghosts that take her to Dantooine, where she makes her speech, and then they take her to Yavin. So I love that.
Would you have liked to see the speech from Rebels as well? Like, I know when Castian
Yeah,
was on Yavin, he's like, I don't want to hear it. I already heard her speech. It was a good speech, whatever. I agree. I would have liked to have at least seen the hollow projected image of her giving that speech. I think it would have added just a nice cherry on top of an already amazing episode.
Yeah, it seems like they just kind of didn't want to do anything that's been shown already in some fashion. Um,
That's fair.
yeah, which is fine, but it would have been cool, or at least to see it playing in the background, like while he's walking off or something like that would have been cool.
Yeah, because that's such an amazing moment in Rebels.
Yeah. Um, okay, moving right along. Um, we get our final arc, where everything kind of leads up to Rogue One. So episode 10 is Make It Stop. Episode 11 is Who Else Knows? And episode 12 is Jedha, Kyber, Urso.
We've heard
Repeat!
those
Or
before.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, everything's really coming to a head here to get up to Rogue One. Episode
We're really getting
episode
there
10.
here.
We're really
Yeah.
getting there. We're really cooking.
Yeah.
Um, we're at one BBY, so a year before the Battle of Yavin. Make It Stop is when Lonnie Jung informs Luthen, who because he's been deep in the ISB, he got Deidre's credentials and was searching through her office and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, tells him, hey, this energy program is not an energy program. Like
Yeah.
it is a massive weapon. Everything that we've been seeing for the last 2 seasons all has to do with this Death Star. And Luthen's trying to get the information from him. He's like, look, I gotta get my family out. I gotta get out of here. They're on to me. They're on to you. They know exactly who you are. It's just a matter of time. And he
Yeah.
says, yeah, I'm gonna get you out, and then kills him. Um, in prime Luthen fashion.
Yeah.
Um, and then shortly after, I think he tells Clea, he says, we got to get out of here. I'm going to destroy everything. You go do what you got to do. Don't worry about that shit. And when he is destroying the evidence at the um, antiquities shop, that's when
Yeah.
Deidre comes in. And that was a really cool scene because at first I was like, I don't know if I was just oblivious. I was like, oh, maybe she really is just coming in to see some
Yeah.
antiquities. And then she brings out that the what is the box that from season 1? I forget what it was.
Star Path unit. That's what they call it.
Okay, so she brings that
It's
from
an
the first.
encryption device.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so she has that, which is from her trying to track him down after all this time. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure this is her in her mind her big moment. And he goes and spoils it by trying to kill himself. So she has she freaks out. She's like, "Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I need you alive.
Oh
You have
no.
you need all this information."
Oh no.
Um, so she gets the med team in there. Clea is viewing from far off, so she can see everything go down. Um, and then they take him to an Imperial hospital, and he's on life support until they try to figure out how to keep him alive so they can get information from him. That is there. That Deidre is arrested for withholding information from Heert, who has been in charge of Axis since she was on Gorman.
Mm-hmm.
So she interfered with his investigation. So obviously they're going to arrest her. And then at this point, they also think that she's um, a spy because she's, in their mind, allowed access to
Mm-hmm.
other people to
Yeah,
her
yeah.
records. Um, so she's kind of done. Uh,
Yeah.
and then
She's got it done.
Clea Clea kicks it into high gear, goes full espionage, and finds a way into the hospital to kill Luthen,
Mm-hmm.
put him out of his misery. And throughout the episode, we're getting flashbacks of them meeting Luthen when he was an Imperial
Yeah.
officer, and how that relationship developed, and how they have been really aiding this movement from the get go.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then we move on to episode 11. Who else knows? That's where we get the really cool Deidre and Krennic interrogation,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really great scene. A lot of great tension there. She's clearly scared shitless because she knows how all of
Yeah.
this looks. And he's just laying into her. He does that, point, planting his finger on her head, which was not scripted. It was a choice that he'd made, which made the scene really good, I thought. I was like, ooh, we're ad-libbing here. Um, let's see here, identifies Clea from the security footage from the hospital. So they concoct a scheme that she's a infectious patient with a terrible disease that'll kill thousands. So if anyone sees
Yeah.
her, report her. And
Yeah,
she's
because
over at
she
the,
killed Luthen.
yeah,
That's
she
when she.
killed Luthen at the end
Yeah.
of 10.
Yeah.
And then she's hanging out in the safe house trying to use
Hmm.
their like Morse code communication thing to call
Yeah.
for
Old
help.
timey radio that they don't think anybody
Yeah,
tracks anymore.
which Wilmont gets and then tells Cassian, K2, and Melshi
Hmm.
during their
Yeah.
poker game. Um, and then there's some struggle between rebel leadership and Cassian, because Cassian's like, look, this would not be a message if it wasn't important. And uh they don't know Luthen's dead yet, but they're, everything, all of this is here because of Luthen, and you guys don't want to help because they don't trust him, because they
Yeah.
have a big problem with the Luthen's methods and his rebel cell.
Yeah.
So they go out to get them, who they think is Luthen, but really it's just Clea. They go up to the safe house. Clea is there. She doesn't really want to go with them, but she's trying to pass on this message about Galen Erso and the Kyber crystals and Jeddah and what they're really doing for the Death Star. And her and Cassian have a back and forth about trusting the people on Yavin and it being a safe place, and her finally being able to breathe and not be on
Yeah.
high alert 24/7. Um, and of course, the when he's in the atmosphere is when she messages him before he had landed. So the ISB tracks them to the safe house.
Yeah.
So there's this really cool fight scene. K2 saves the day, big
Hmm.
security droid that he is, and gets them all out of there, and they get back to Yavin. To sum it up.
Yeah.
And then episode 12, Jeddah, Kyber, Erso. These are the final pieces leading up directly right before Rogue
Yeah.
One. Um, Cassian is passing on this information to rebel leadership. Don't really want to believe him. They think this
Yeah.
is just a wild goose chase, which is really disheartening after seeing
Yeah.
2 seasons of this show. Seeing all of it, I'm just like, oh, come on, you guys are not this stupid.
I know.
Um, and then just before that, they're on a hologram call with Saw, who's on Jeddah. They don't know where he's at, and they're trying to warn him, like, hey, shit's getting real over there.
Yeah.
You have an Imperial Star Destroyer parked right there at Jeddah.
Right.
Um, they're doing something, and you're
Yeah.
real close, but he refuses to work
Yeah.
with them. Um, yeah.
Hello? There you are.
Hello, can you hear me? Where'd you go?
You froze.
Oh, sorry. Um, won't do that again. So space lesbian number 2, that's Vel, right? Or is it Val?
Vel.
Vel. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So Vel and Caspian. Fuck, I've been talking way too much today. Vel and Cassian have a conversation at the request of Mon to see if there's validity to what he
Yeah.
said about what he heard from
Yeah.
Clea. So that was a cool scene. They drink in Sunta's memory and Luthen's memory and all that good shit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's pretty much the episode is pretty much wrapping everything up to lead
Yeah.
pretty seamlessly right into Rogue One.
Um, yeah. So, um, yeah, it's pretty much it. It's really just kind of about putting everybody in their places for Rogue One. Making
Mm-hmm.
they really highlight Melshi a bit in this arc because they have planted him throughout. He's part of the Rogue One team, but they meet in the
Right.
prison in season 1, and they're kind of now he's like firmly where he's gonna be in order to get ready to board that ship with Cassian and go to Scarif.
Mm-hmm.
There's also that I think we forgot about in episode 7. Messenger is with the Force healer, who I
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing. Sorry.
because he has a blaster wound that won't heal, and they have like a random healer on Yavin, um, um, who identify she like seeks him out because she knows that he's gonna do something important, and she calls him
Mm-hmm.
a messenger, and I think that's because he, obviously he helps Jin, and they'll both kind of sacrifice it all to kind of get the message out about the Death Star, which turns the tide completely. So I loved all that. I thought that was kind of cool that it's really just about him getting into a point where he does kind of the most important thing. And that's kind of what we've always been building up to, is him getting closer and closer to that moment where he's on that beach, you know. So I loved all that. And I love the build up to Yavin too, like Yavin almost being like a character in itself.
Yeah.
Um, I love that we teased it out in that first arc where he's on the jungle with the rebel cell that's kind of turned on each other. And
Hmm.
then when he leaves, it's revealed to be Yavin. So
Oh, so where he landed, that was Yavin?
yeah,
Oh, cool. Okay, I didn't know that. I was wondering that because when I was rewatching it the other day, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is Yavin.
yeah, they
But it
label it
doesn't
as
like
an
say.
unknown juggle planet, but that's the reveal when he finally escapes them in the TIE fighter, is that when he goes into the sky, you see the temples of Yavin. So he's been on
Oh, okay, I
Yavin the
missed
whole
that.
time. Yeah.
Sick. Okay, love that. That is really
Yeah.
cool then. Wow, that really puts a final piece in it for me. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then the
Um,
last few frames of the episode are Deidre in Imperial Prison. Much like Narkina 5, but it's different.
yeah.
It's an all-female version.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
And that's,
oh,
yeah,
oh for
that's
her.
pretty much it.
I'll run through some real quick trivia.
Cool.
Andor season 2 and I think season 1 used real large scale sets and locations for filming, unlike
Yeah.
most other recent Star Wars productions they
Yeah.
use.
Which is great.
Uh, what is the stage they used? I think you said it has a name that they use for it.
For the other ones, the volume.
The volume. Okay, so they use the volume for most of the other productions, but I think this one they use real large scale sets, which is really cool,
Yeah.
and I think it makes a pretty big difference
It
as a
does.
viewer.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Um, Denise Gao, is it Gao or Go, who plays Deidre?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Okay, Denise. Uh, she researched in preparation for her role of Deidre. She
Oh,
researched female
psychopaths. Right.
psychopaths, which
I
is
love that
really
about her.
cool. I love that, and it really shows in her acting. It's kind of fierce. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Andor season 2 is the first show in history to have 5 sequential episodes score at least a 9.5 out of 10 on IMDb,
Yep.
and it was the last 5 episodes, which is fierce. Um, when creating the show, Tony Gilroy said, "Don't think Star Wars, think John le Carre," and he is a famous novelist and statesman. He does like spy novels, so
Mm-hmm.
which really translates because the whole series reads like a really good spy movie.
Yeah.
Love that. The Imperial building design was based on elements from the Roman Empire and the Third Reich from World War II Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Gorman is based on French Parisian culture from 1933 to 1945. So it really
Yep.
echoes, the Third Reich Empire.
Yeah.
Um, like those themes are very clear throughout the show.
Yeah.
And Andor and Bix's apartment on Coruscant is based on like Cold War era architecture from East Berlin and Warsaw,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was really, really cool. Those are my trivia bits that I had
Love that.
collected.
Love it.
Yeah, what a great show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like the episode runtime. I like the cast. The cast is phenomenal. The actress who plays Clea, I can't remember her name right now. For that to be like her first like professional acting role is just mind blowing. Genevieve O'Reilly,
Elizabeth Dulao.
yes, Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma just really killed it.
Oh,
Completely smashed
absolutely.
it.
She is that character. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I just love. Oh God, I just love it. It really all paid off in the end. You know, season one I thought was great. I thought everybody performed well, but it was just so. It just felt like we didn't go anywhere.
It
So I
was such
think
a slow
forcing
burn.
them. I feel like, yeah, I feel like forcing them to kind of like really pick the important parts in each arc
Uh,
really made them really made it a little more I guess pace appropriate, you know. Um
yeah.
so yeah, I
One
loved it.
interesting bit that has come out since the show aired is of course the toxic fandom enters the chat once more. to say not my Star Wars. Star Wars is too woke. Because Star Wars has always been woke. The United States was used as inspiration for the Empire in the first three films. So if you think Star Wars has not been progressive or woke, you've been watching the wrong program, or
Yeah, there you
you're
go.
gravely delirious about
Yeah,
what it means.
I agree.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that footnote in there because it's super irritating.
Yeah, no, I mean it is a really timely series, and it does kind of harken to really what Star Wars is all about. So, but
Yeah, and it's so relevant today with, I
mhm,
mean, situations all over the world, and in Palestine, in
yeah,
Africa,
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Like the last 100 so
yeah,
days or so have been very
100%.
imperial-ish.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
so yeah, what a great way to use art and use the frame of Star Wars to highlight what's going on in our lives.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and then we're gonna cover Rogue One next, right? I think.
Yep,
Yeah.
gotta do our
So
little.
look out for that, everybody. We're gonna do Rogue One directly after this. Um, so look for out for that next episode. But yeah. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think that was it. Go watch, go listen to Mon's speech if you haven't, or just listen to it
Yeah.
again because it's so good.
Mon's speech, and then
Listen to both their
also,
speeches.
yeah, those are great. And then also, Star Wars uploaded 1 hour of Mon Mothma dancing to Niemos. You should absolutely check that out.
Oh, I love that. It's
Love
gonna be on my
that.
playlist.
Hmm. All right then. Well, in that case, thank you, fierce listeners. No, what? Fierce listeners. You are fierce, everybody who's
You
listening.
are.
But thank you, fierce sensitives, for listening and or watching.
And if you are listening to us on a podcast platform, we'd love it if you rate us and subscribe and also leave a review.
If you are watching us on YouTube, and if you are, we love that for you. Please hit the subscribe button to subscribe to the Planet Grady YouTube channel so you don't miss out on a single visual masterpiece we put out.
Yes, and you can follow us on Instagram at Star Gaze Official, and follow us individually if you want to. Follow me at Zach_Baloney on Instagram.
And follow me on Instagram at planet_Grady, and check us out on Blue Sky too.
We're there sometimes.
We will be right here next week with Rogue One, like we just said. So until then, watch Andor, get caught up. Those episodes are long, so hurry up. And if you haven't done that yet, also do something for yourself. You know, do something, that the fierce sensitive inside you deserves. And may the fierce be with you.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.